Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. As you can see, we decided to stay in France for a little longer and do another route. This time, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, but I'll try. Casse-Pattes or Casse-Pattes. Um, yeah, it's very similar to the previous ride that we did in Douche, France. The about 24 kilometers long, 150 vertical meters. But yeah, we really do that just to tick off one more ride in France, and also to warm up for a race that I want to do later. So that has not been decided yet, which one. So there are two options. Both of them start after 8, so in a little over an hour. So one is the Casse-Pattes, where we suffered. It's the classic London, I think. And the other one is this electric spirit criterium that is very short and spicy in Duchess Estate, and I haven't quite decided yet which one. So yeah, not quite sure. The Duchess Estate is shorter, so it's only 7.7 kilometers, I think, with 110 vertical meters, whereas the flattest fast is on the classic London, which I think is 16.5K. So it would take longer, and yeah, I'm a little afraid that this might be a little bit too much for us today, because we are so struggling a little from yesterday, because yesterday was quite a day. Lots of biking, 2 races, twice with an heart rate of north of 180, which is something we generally don't have. But yeah, so we think that either we'll just do this right here to pick up some more XP points for completing a route, and then call it a day. Or if you feel frisky, use one of the 2 spicy rides later to, yeah, exhaust ourselves and try to get on the podium again. But if we do that, I think it will most likely be the electric spirit, because it's just shorter, and I think it would be a little less pain. But we'll see. If you do have any advice as to, how to structure a training plan, or if you think it would be wise to not do any racing today, or if doing racing, which one would be smarter, please do let me know. Do let me know what you think. So anyways, yeah, so we in France, I've only done the RGV. Then the Tour to Sky is actually not in France, it's in Batopia, right? So I've done the RGV, Then earlier we did the douche. I am not quite sure how to pronounce it. And now we are doing the, which I also don't really know how to pronounce, Casse-Pattes. Yeah, so this means that we have, after this ride, we have done 3. And yeah, then there are a couple of long ones and bad ones out there, like Ventop with 1500 vertical meters, La Reine, which has 1200 vertical meters. So there are a lot of painful rides out there here in France. But that would have to wait until we come back, because I'm traveling tomorrow to go to Beijing, and I will only be back on Monday. And France is open only for 3 days. Today is the first day, and then tomorrow and the day after tomorrow it's still open, and then after that there will be some other routes on the rotating schedule. I'm not quite sure which ones will be open, but yeah, does not really matter to us, because we have still plenty of different routes that we need to complete. As I mentioned in some of the previous videos, I really tried, or one of the goals for this year is to have all the routes done in all worlds. And so far I think we have done 3. So Paris, because it only has 2 different routes that we have done. Then we are done with Mercury Island, which is nice because it has a lot of different routes. What else? We are done with Yorkshire. We finished that just recently. Same is true for New York, that we also just finished a couple of days ago, where we did, I think, 4 rides, and I'm not sure if it was in a day or in 2 days. I think it was 2 days, where we did the last 4 that were open was the Gotham Grind, the Knickerbocker and the Knickerbocker Reverse, and the Everything Bagel. So that's why I'm also a little bit hesitant on jumping onto stage 5 of the Alpe to Zwift, because it takes place in New York. And yeah, I just did New York a couple of days ago, so not quite sure if I want to do that. Oh, sorry, if I want to do that again right away. But yeah, that was actually the alternative for this right here, to just jump on the Zwift on the Knickerbocker Reverse, because at very low pace it would take me about an hour, which would be a very nice warm-up for the race. But then, to be honest, I couldn't be bothered, because so far I've only done 1 stage number 2. And although it would be nice to complete all stages of the Tour de Zwift, yeah, I figured it might be a little bit nicer to get the route badge done, because the remaining routes here in France are quite tough, and I'm not sure if on the next rotation I can actually knock them out of the park. So as such, I decided, okay, let's do one today, or one more today. And there's one more, I think, also somewhere in the mid-20s kilometers distance and 250 vertical meters. So that would lend itself for another, I don't know, easy pace like what we are doing right now. 1 hour ride or so. Would be a nice warm-up, would be a nice recovery ride. And then a couple of tougher routes. Oh, I apologize for constantly yawning into the camera. I did have enough sleep, at least I thought so, and have been essentially resting all day, except for my earlier ride. But apparently my body thinks it's time to shut down and go to bed. So luckily my body is not in control of me, so I still call the shots, and for now I tell my body to just suck it up and get through the through this ride, and then potentially another 12 minutes of pain if we decide to do the race. Yeah, we're trying to spread some love with sending ride-ons. Oh, thank you. We got one back from RY from Japan. That makes me very happy. Yeah, this one I never really understood. The TT bikes, the guy in front of us, the German guy, T immer. So it does tell me to, try to get into his draft, but I thought that you cannot draft off a TT bike. So I'm not quite sure if it just goes one way, that TT cannot draft off you, or if it also goes the other way. I'm not sure. Thank you, Mr. Savage or Mrs. Savage from Scotland. And it seems like we only blinked once, and we're already 7 kilometers in. 15 minutes. So just a little slower than 30k an hour. But this is also very flat. And the power that we are putting out is very low. We are having just a little over 100 watts. Which is 1.3 watts per kilo for us, which is definitely like recovery mode, very low impact on your cardiovascular system. Time for another ride-on. We just received a ride-on from a Mr. Zöchling from Austria, and funnily enough, the first time I received a ride-on from him, I knew that the name rang a bell, but I had no idea where I knew this guy from. And so I thought, oh, maybe he's a friend of a friend who I used to go mountain biking with, because his short name is, or his pet name is Sodi. And I thought, oh, maybe it is him. But then I didn't know how he would have found me. And yeah, so it was really like a little bit of an enigma to me, until I realized that this particular gentleman is someone that I used to play, I know, very boring, but I used to play correspondence chess with. So yeah, I really do love to play chess, and I used to play quite a bit of correspondence chess, and he was one of the guys that I used to play against. So, but it took me a couple of days to figure that out, and yeah, once I realized that, I thought, ah, that is nice. So anyways, small world, and everyone meets up here on Zwift, and you find long lost friends and people you have not interacted with for a very long time. It makes it so much more enjoyable signing in and then seeing, yet another person from the past. So at our speeds, we don't do a lot of overtaking, or at our power and the resulting speed. But so feels even nicer if you then have a chance to have a couple of kilometers, maybe overtake one person. Somebody fast is gonna come by in a second. Let's give him a ride on. A German fella. He did some like 4 watts per kilo on the small little kicker. Yeah, it does really feel as if we are standing because so many people are just flying by. Hopefully that won't happen later in the race. $10K done. Yeah, what a beautiful scenery. Almost everywhere on Zwift is just really beautifully done. No, actually, beautifully done. I think it's everywhere, but I do like sceneries like this where you essentially feel you're riding in the great outdoors. A nice white road like this, some greenery around you. Yeah, that makes me feel very happy. I do think that Nyokyo it's also very well made, but yeah, for me it's like I do miss the outdoors. So for me, stuff like this where I feel like I'm, amongst the trees and the bushes and the greenery, I feel a little bit better than in the middle of town. So 1K till halftime. At our speed, that should be in about 3 minutes, a little less than 3, which means that we'll probably be done with this around the hour mark because we haven't done any climbing yet. Only 23 meters. And the total, I think, is 150. So that will probably take our average speed down quite a bit. So I reckon it'll just be around an hour or a little less for this route. And then if we decide to, if we still have time, then we might stick around for another kilometer or 2 or 3. And just planning on leaving this area here with maybe, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 minutes to spare before the race. Again, if I'm gonna do the race. Yeah, today my Garmin watch was telling me to take it really slow and have a rest day, and I disobeyed. And in general terms, the watch has been right. So feel a little bit bad on about not listening to its wisdom, but I hope it doesn't do any damage or does anything else bad, because what the watch doesn't know is that I won't have any access to a bike for the next 3, possibly 4 days. And yeah. So I will have a somewhat of a rest day, I guess, tomorrow, and then 3 rest days at least. So if you know anything about like a proper strategy for implementing rest days, please do let me know. What do you do on those rest days? Are you not doing anything, or are you staying away from cardio and, I don't know, doing some muscle work or some stretching, or do you do active recovery like what I was trying to do today? Yeah, what do you do? And what's your balance like? How many on and off days do you have? In general, I have 2 longer rides per week, which are usually on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And yeah, then do some like shorter ones. But even the shorter ones might be up to like 70k, but then at relatively low speeds. Let's say, I don't know, 1.8 watts per kilo or so, where the endurance rides on the weekend usually end up being about 2.1, 2.2 watts per kilo. Yeah, I haven't quite figured out my like training schedule yet. I'm just doing what I think feels right, or how I feel what feels right. But there's definitely some improvements possible. So the next guy who will overtake us in a couple of seconds, Italian guy, Milano, or her, is actually doing an FTP test at the moment. And best of luck, mate. Really hope that you're smashing your old FTP and getting a really nice new fancy one. I will probably do another test end of February or end of March. We'll see. Oh, that's a cool name. I hate this. That's very similar to the name of my club, Tight. TIGHT. This is gonna hurt tremendously. So yeah, you can see that my ghost avatar just sprinted away from us with about 8 watts per kilo. This was a time when I was trying to get a best time up this KOM, and you can see on the left my best time was like 35 seconds. which would have been actually quite good. I would have been in the top 5 if the list on the left here is to be believed. Yeah, 35.72. So let's see where this would have put us. Yeah, you see there's lots and lots of results because this is part of the RGV that I used to do every Sunday. So this would have actually put us in 4th place. Yeah, very nice. But yeah, on that ride, there were actually people who, I think there was even one doing it less than 30, which is absolute insanity. But oh well, there are those people out there who are just much better than you or other friends of you. But it always amazes me of what some people are able to do. Yeah. I definitely saw some big improvements in my numbers and in how I feel when I ride. Of course, there were some setbacks, but they were mainly related to some medical situations, COVID or stomach bug, or hurting my back or something where I couldn't bike. But in general terms, my numbers are actually going up, which is really nice. And of course, we hope that for the foreseeable future that will remain to be the case, and hopefully we'll get a whole lot of new personal bests on any of those segments here. In the meantime, we picked up a feather, which might come in handy if or when there's another mountain or another climb to come, and there should be, because so far we've only done 46 vertical meters out of 150 supposedly. Yeah, but this is nice. Very little effort on the downhill, and we are still doing 43k an hour. Love it. Oh, if you're new to Zwift, if you look on the right hand side, the list of nearby Zwifters, of course that will give you exactly that. A list of Zwifters that are going in the same direction as you and are either in front of you if they show up above your name, or behind you if they show up below your name, with their power numbers, their name, how long they have been riding for, and how far away they are from you. So Mr. Smith, who just overtook us, is a second ahead of us, 2 seconds now. And the Korean guy behind us is now really catching up. And there comes Mr. or Mrs. Holzkamp. And those two, for instance, they have those the bar graph over their time, which means that they're doing a workout. So it could either be that they custom made a workout for themselves, but there are plenty of workouts available on Zwift, and although I have not done it, I heard that it's also easy to import workouts from either your Garmin watch or Training Peaks or Strava or Komoot or into Zwift, and then actually do these workouts in different Zwift worlds. But again, I don't know much about it, as I have not done that yet. But I'm pretty sure if you Google some info about it, then you will be easily finding your information. Okay, 16K is done, 8 left to go. So 2/3 are already in the bag, 1/3 to go, and 36 minutes, which if you could keep the same pace, you should end up below 55 minutes. But again, I'm not sure if we can, because we are still missing about 100 vertical meters. But yeah, we'll see. And there's a notification that if we want to join Flat as Fast on London Classic, that it will start in half an hour. But to be honest, I'm now more convinced than before that I don't want to do that one, because yeah, it would be brutal and longer than the other one. So if I go, then I would probably prefer the Team Electric Spirit Crit that is only 7.7K. A little bit more vertical meters, but you shouldn't really feel those because the pace is very high. It's probably doing on average, I don't know, close to 40 maybe. Maybe beyond that. I'm actually not quite sure, but so the time investment on the shorter one is definitely less. And since the pain, or since we are definitely going to go into the red, then better go in the red for a shorter amount of time. Okay, so now this is a little bit scary because it says we go towards the Zone 2 summit, and yeah, I really hope it doesn't actually send us up the hill, although that's not a hill, that's actually a proper mountain. But with only 6.6 kilometers left, that should not happen. All right, so here we have a little KOM, petite KOM, never been on here, 4%, 2.7K. So that's perfect. So we should finish this on kilometer 20 exactly. Yeah, this is probably where the remaining 100 vertical meters come in. Yeah, you probably even see my power going down because I really want to stay in in zone 1. Yeah, so we are now on 97 watts average for the ride, which is great because it gets a little bit of sweat going on, but essentially there's zero stress for the body. Yeah, last week I was fighting a stomach bug or food poisoning, who knows what it was. But yeah, that was quite a scare. The only good thing that came from it is that I lost about 3 kilos in 36 hours. Of course, that's not good, but when I went on the scale 2 days ago, I was actually quite surprised. Yeah, how much I lost in like the last, let's say, 2 weeks. And yeah, I couldn't really train hard because first it was COVID recovery and then it was the stomach issue. And yeah, and it was already that I was eating for like at least 2 days I was eating normally. And yeah, so I adjusted my weight, which I don't really do very often, to be honest, like here on Zwift. And I do it always like in a trailing fashion where, yeah, I will never put a value in that is lower than what I have right now. I'm usually trailing about a kilo above what my actual weight is. Just simply because there is always going to be a little bit of fluctuation, and I don't want to adjust this every week or every 2 weeks. But when I see that the general trend is going down, then I will put in a new value. So at the moment we have it set at 77 kilos. Oh, thank you, Mr. or Mrs. Katia from Italy, going up the hill at 4.4 watts per kilo. Well done. Thanks for the ride on. Best of luck. Probably going for a personal best on this KOM. Yeah, so anyways, so we adjusted to 77. The actual goal for Q1 of this year was maybe to be at 77, 76 kilo. And then in summer, end of Q2, I was hoping to be sub 75. And I think what's possible at the moment is sub 73, maybe 72. Which would of course take a lot of effort and implementation of proper eating habits and maybe adjusting the diet a little bit. So I'm not quite sure if I will go that far, but yeah, at least the goal is to definitely go sub 75, and then yeah, maybe go as low as 73, 72 kilos. That should also help with climbing, of course, and yeah, general FTP, as it is usually expressed as watts per kilo. Thank you, Mr. or Mrs. Reese. Thanks for the and Mr. or Mrs. Rose. Really nice of you. And there are people saying that Mr. and Mrs. Delise, thank you so much for the ride on. Yeah, so if I knew anything about this mountain, I would know when to use the power up, but I have no idea since it's the first time I'm on this route and I'm on this section. But 6%, I don't know. I think there should be a section that might be a little bit steeper. Here we go. 7, 8. Okay, let's see if we find another section where if it goes to 7, 8%, where we just deploy our power up and hopefully there will be such another section before the KOM, so that we can then actually get something new on top of the mountain. Ideally an arrow helmet. At least in a race, this is what I would hope for, because that would make the downhill so much nicer. Delgado, you deserve a ride on as well. All right, Mr. Olszewski or Mrs. Olszewski, you get a ride on, of course. Going up here at 3 watts per kilo, having done already 57 kilometers. Well done. I know it wasn't on purpose that you bumped into me, so you get a ride on as well, Miss or Mrs. Passin from Brazil. Okay, it looks like there's only 3 more bends until the KOM. So maybe this is the time where we use our power up. 6, 7%. Mr. or Mrs. Yoshida. It's very funny because I have a co-worker whose name is Yoshida-san. Obviously from Japan. working also here in China. So 19 minutes till the event. And less than 5Ks to go. And we should be 800 meters away from the top, 700. And after that, I'm pretty sure it will only go downhill. Which means that we should be done in less than those now 18 minutes. Ideally in less than 15, so that we can actually rest a little and get some fluids in. So 2 more bends, or now maybe only 1. No, actually 1, 2, 3 more bends. I really love those low intensity rides. I mean, if I was in slightly better shape or haven't had the races from yesterday, I would have probably gone for like a proper zone 2 ride. Probably at like, I don't know, 130, 140, 150 watts. But yeah. Okay, 1 more right turn, 1 more left turn, and then we should be there. So 4K left. Yeah, I hope it will only go downhill. because if we were to go 30 kilometers an hour, 4K is 8 minutes. We have 14 minutes left till the race. So it would be nice to have those 5 minutes. Okay, 17 minutes. New personal record. That doesn't mean much, as it is the first time we're up here. Makes you think though, when you see that the best time was sub 5 minutes. Scary. All right. And we get the arrow, which is also nice. We'll use that on the flats later. Also the time to maybe get some fluids in. Yeah, whenever I sit upright, drink something, then don't breathe during that time. And the heart rate goes up. So now we have been in zone 2 for a total of 12 seconds doing this ride. And 55 minutes and counting in zone 1. And the difference, the last 3 minutes we have been in zone 0, which is less than 50% of HR max. All right, so now I'm not worried at all about making it to the starting line in time. Two kilometers left. 3 minutes or so. Thank you, Mrs. B. London. Much appreciated. Yes, and we go further downhill. Nice. Me likey. So last kilometer. Let's use our power up. And then I think we're probably gonna have the same amount of XP as we had on the earlier ride here in France, which was 480. So let's see if this is the same here. All right. Yeah, this time we will actually stop at 24K just because we can get ready for the race. And of course, I hope to see you there. But yeah, I also do really hope that you enjoyed this ride here. Again, this was France, Casse something. And as always, if you like this content, sign up, subscribe, leave a comment, send a like, or how I call them, YouTube write-on. And yeah, hopefully see you in the next one. Okay, 460 points. That's good enough. We take it. And yeah, never forget, ride hard, have fun, tight. See you later. Bye bye.